Hello, everybody. Welcome to M365 Philly. I'm really excited to be here today with these topics and the speakers. There's a lot of interesting things coming along today. These sessions are being recorded. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A feature to post your question. There does seem to be some technical difficulties with Teams and Q&A today. It seems to be on and off, but we'll try to capture your questions and post them. Joining us today is Nanddeep and Smita, and they'll be educating us on Microsoft Syntex. Welcome, Nanddeep and Smita. We're glad to have you here with us today, and you can begin when you're ready.
Yeah, thank you, Jason, for the introduction. Hey, hello all. Welcome to Microsoft 365 Philly. And we are here to talk about Microsoft Syntex, which has been just announced by Microsoft during Microsoft Ignite this year. And in this session, we will explore Microsoft Syntex to manage content using AI. We will see how you can use document understanding, form processing kind of models to classify your documents, extract the text out of it, as well as label your documents for quick and easy knowledge management. All right. Before we start this session, special thanks to our sponsors. Thank you very much for sponsoring this event. Without your help, we won't be able to do better. All right, so the agenda for this session is quickly we will have an overview of Microsoft Syntax. So what is mean by Microsoft Syntax and then how it can help us in day-to-day kind of scenarios. We will bit go backward and let's have a look at the history of Microsoft Syntax as well. And then we will see how we can quickly go ahead and set up Microsoft Syntax for your organization. Then there are various models which are present in Microsoft Syntax. We will get introduced to those, as well as we do have demos for each of the model, and fingers are crossed for those demos. We will see the major features of this Microsoft Syntax, including content assembly and metadata search. And the favorite topic of everyone, what about the licensing? We will also go into that. And then we will see that as we explore this Microsoft Syntax, how we will be able to adapt to it, as well as what kind of an assessment tools available for us to go ahead and start using Microsoft Syntax. Okay, so we have a lot many things to cover. All right, so before starting the session, just quick introduction. Myself, Nanddeep Nachan. I'm Microsoft MVP for M365 Apps and Services. I'm from Pune, India. Author of 3 books on SharePoint framework, SharePoint 2019 with SharePoint hybrid, and then the recently one which is on Viva connections. And onto the right hand side, here are a few of my social media handles to get in touch with me. And with me today is Smita.
Hello, myself Smita Nachan and greetings from Pune, India. So I'm having total 14 plus years of experience in Microsoft M365 and then I'm a Microsoft MVP and MCT and these are my 2 books and these are some of my social handles by which you can get in touch with me.
All right, so with that, let's get started with what is mean by Microsoft Syntax and then how we can get started with that. Okay, so all right, so quickly, like Microsoft Syntax is simply a Microsoft 365 service that uses advanced kind of an artificial intelligence and machine learning to provide end-to-end kind of an intelligent document processing solution for your organization. So in the next slide, I'm taking a reference of video which is available onto the Microsoft documentation, so that we'll be able to better understand the syntax, and then we can go into the models and all of the features of the syntax. So this video represents like in an organization we do have various documents. Okay, so in organization we deal with various kind of documents, and it one has got metadata, but those works in these silos kind of a thing. So when an organization deal with documents, there are various types of document, including contract forms, inquiries, and many more. And then this Microsoft Syntax will help you to analyze the type of that document, whether it is a contract, inquiry form, or anything. Not just that, but also it will help us to extract the metadata out of it, so that it will be easy for us to retrieve the file, make some business intelligent processes out of it, as well as ensure the governance. And this all can be done with Microsoft Syntax, which will help us to transform our documents into the knowledge. But we need to create some kind of an models here which are created onto the SharePoint, which will just help us to process all those things. So this model will analyze all of your documents and then it will attach the metadata to that document with that. All right, so this was the quick demo or quick kind of a video which I just wanted to put forward so that we can set a ground for our discussion with Microsoft Syntax. So with the introduction of this Microsoft Syntax, let's have a look at what are the features being offered by Syntax.
So the first one is the content assembly. So with Syntex, you can create a modern templates based on the business documents you use the most. So you can then use those templates to automatically generate the new documents using a SharePoint list or user entries as a data source. Also, this process lets you automatically generate the standard repetitive business documents such as contracts, statements of work, service agreements, letter of consent, and correspondence. So you can do all these tasks quicker, more consistently, and with fewer errors in syntax. So the second one is the advanced metadata search. So the advanced metadata search feature in Syntex lets you perform a specific metadata based queries on SharePoint document libraries. So you can make faster, more precise queries based on specific metadata column values rather than just searching for the keywords. Also, this feature is useful when you have a specific piece of information you want to search for, such as when a document was last modified, a specific person associated with a file, or a specific file type. Then the last one is the content compliance. So understanding your content allows for better compliance control and increases management and governance options for all your data. So when content is properly tagged and labeled, you have better control over your data and can follow regulations more easily. So the syntax helps you to ensure the compliance by using a retention labels and sensitivity labels to manage your documents. So let's see this Microsoft Syntex history. So the Project Cortex use advanced AI to deliver insights and expertise in the apps we use every day and to harness the collective knowledge and to empower people and the teams to learn, upskill and innovate faster. So the SharePoint Syntax adds artificial intelligent content service capabilities to SharePoint document libraries, creating content, understanding the models that automatically classify the many and various documents in those libraries.
So on a history level, this Project Cortex came into the picture on November 2019. Then we had got a specific version of it created for SharePoint called as SharePoint Syntax late 2020. And just during this year's Microsoft Ignite, Microsoft has announced this a new fresh kind of a product which is called as Microsoft Syntax. All right, so this is kind of a diagram which is again taking a reference of what has been shown onto that session. So uh, earlier it was just the SharePoint syntax. That means it was sitting somewhere here. But now that if you see strategically, this Microsoft syntax is taken to the upper level, and then from there we'll be able to talk to the underlying systems. For example, Microsoft Search, Microsoft Graph, Microsoft Purview, a Power Platform, all those kind of thing. So now that we have Microsoft syntax being operated from the top level, and then we also get um, more kind of features which we can use across search graph as well as SharePoint as well as few of the features from Microsoft Azure as well. So simply like this syntax built on your existing investment that you have already done onto the Microsoft 365. So it uses Microsoft 365, Microsoft Azure, Microsoft Purview as well as Power Platform. So for creating all those AI-based model, it is using Microsoft Azure as well as Power Platform. At the same time, this is kind of a solution wherein you can bring in the governance for your files that you store onto your file store onto the SharePoint. So for that purpose, we can go ahead and use Microsoft Purview. So it is totally built on the investment that you already have done with which can help you for collaboration, security, compliance, as well as low code kind of a development and AI. So this is something that just wanted to point out before we go ahead and actually start setting up the syntax.
The admins can use the Microsoft 365 Admin Center to set up the Microsoft Syntex. So you have to consider some of the things before you start. So in which SharePoint sites will you enable the document processing? All of them, some or selected sites. And what will you name and admins for your default content center? So you must have a global admin or SharePoint admin permissions to be able to access the Microsoft 365 admin center and set up the syntax. The next thing is for this custom power platform environment. So if you plan to use a custom power platform environment, you must install the AI builder for a project Cortex app in these environments. So you also need to allocate AI builder credits to the custom environment before you can create a document processing models. And when using a custom environment, model creators must be assigned the environment maker security role, and model users must be assigned the basic user security role. When it's come to the licensing, so to use the syntax, your organization must have a subscription to syntax and each user must have a license assigned. So the syntax licenses includes the some of the apps which must all be assigned. So the syntax SPO type, common data service for syntax. So to use the structured document processing or freeform document processing models, you also need AI builder credits. So for each license user of syntax, an allocation of AI builder credits is provided each month.
All right, so with that, let's get into the demo and see how we'll be able to go ahead and set up Microsoft Syntex. So right now I'm into the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and onto the left-hand side here, you will see something called as Setup. So from the Setup menu, we will have to go down, and then here we do have option under File and Contents for use content AI with Microsoft Syntax. So right now I have set it up already. So once I click on that option, I will be able to see the option for from where I will be able to navigate to the default content center. So this one is still in preview, but once I click onto the manage Microsoft Syntax, I will be taken to a page wherein I will be able to get more information about the content center that I have set up. And this is the option like how we want to go ahead and use this syntax across the SharePoint. So if I go into the edit mode again, I can select like whether I want to have this option enabled for all SharePoint sites or just few of the libraries in the selected SharePoint site, or maybe I don't want to directly use them into the SharePoint libraries, but I just want to go ahead and create the models, which probably I could use later on. So this is the basic kind of an configuration that we need to do. And once we do that, we will get one kind of an content center, which we call it as a default content center. Okay. So this is the link to my default content center. Once I click here, I will be taken to a page from where I will be able to create the models or at least customize the behavior of those models. So this was a simple setup kind of a thing. But again, another thing here is that if needed, we will be able to create further content center as well. So to do that, we need to go to the SharePoint admin center. Under the sites, just go to the active sites and click on create. So for as a normal modern SharePoint site, we just have got option for team site and communication site. But once you come to the option of other options at the bottom, here we do have got option for content center. So this one is nothing but the content center, or maybe another kind of a content center that we can create for our um, syntax. So let's say we go ahead and I will just create a content center called as M365 Philly content center. Okay. And then I just need to mention the primary administrator. Let me just mention myself here as the primary administrator, and that's it. Once you click on finish, this one will go ahead and set up a content center for you. So the bottom line here is that once we run this setup wizard, we will get one content center, which is a default content center, but we are not at all limited to that. We can still go ahead and create few more content center. So again, why do we need to create few more content center is probably because of the billing or maybe the way our departments work in the organization. So let's say for um, HR and finance, probably we want to create a different kind of a content center so that they can create their own model. They can apply those model onto the SharePoint sites which they normally work on, and then there will be a separate billing factor that can come into this picture as well. So those are the reasons why we can go ahead and create the multiple content centers. So site has been created. Let me just go ahead and browse to that site. Okay, so this is the content center that we have set up right now. It takes hardly maybe 5 or 6 seconds to go ahead and create this site. So at the top, you can see that we do have libraries here, which is the library where we'll be able to upload the documents if needed. This is the major part, which is models, from where we'll be able to go ahead and create our models to analyze the documents better in SharePoint. And then again, we do have option for training files. So for example, whenever we are creating our own custom kind of a model, we can store those training files here so that we'll be able to train our model based on these training files that we have got. All right, so this is how we can go ahead and set up the Microsoft Syntex, and then if needed, we can also go ahead and create additional content centers. So now that with this, let us go into the models further and see what are the models that we have available in Syntex.
So understanding your content with syntax begins with the models. So over here, first before going to exactly concept of the models, let's see what are the terminology changes. So previously in SharePoint syntax, it was known as a document understanding, but now it is renamed with the unstructured document processing model. And previously it was a forms processing model. Now it is a structured document processing model. And the new one is the freedom document processing model. So the model let you identify and classify the documents that are uploaded to your SharePoint document libraries and then to extract the information you need from each file. So the type of model you choose will depend on the type of files you use. So the format and structure of the files, the information you want to extract and where you want to apply the model. So the model can be either enterprise models, which are created in a content center, or local models and which are created on your local SharePoint site. So there are pre-built models. So if you don't need to build a custom model, you can use a pre-built model. This type of model is pre-trained to extract the predefined entities from common business files. So this pre-built model includes this invoicing processing and receipts processing.
All right, so with that, let's get into the demo, our first demo for creation of the pre-built model. So pre-built, that means we don't need to go ahead, train them. Those are directly available to us from Microsoft. So we do have two types of model which we can create here, invoice and receipt. So for that, let me just first go into the content center that we had created. From here, we can click on models from the top so that we'll be able to navigate to the models section. And there are a few sample models available as well. If you want, you can also go ahead and just import them. What we will do now is that we will go ahead and create a model. So at the top here, we can see all of the custom models that we can create, which we will see in a while. And down here, we can see the pre-built models, which includes invoice processing and receipt processing. So let's go one by one, and then we will just see how we'll be able to process the invoices which are available to us by using this kind of an pre-built models. So I'll just click on that, and this kind of a wizard will just give you idea like how it is going to process those kind of an documents. So from here we can see that this is one type of an invoice, and these are few of the metadata which is attached to those kind of an documents. Again, that document could be even a handwritten kind of an documents, or even it could be a scanned document, or it can be JPG, GIF, any kind of an image, or even it could be a PDF file. The model will give you information like what kind of an files that it does support, and how you will be able to process that. But on a higher level, you can see that this is the invoice which has been given to this model, and it was able to extract out the information from this model. So there are a few examples as well. So not just that it will work on a specific format, but it can run on any of the format available in the world, and it should be able to extract out the common information which can be on your invoice. So this is the information that we will get for this model. We'll just click on next, so that we'll be able to create our model. Okay, so I'm just calling this particular model as invoice pre-built. If you want, you can have some kind of a description. Under the advanced settings, here we have an option. Now that we are extracting out the information, but how we want to use that information as a content type. So for example, if you already have a content type which is showcasing those kind of an extracted information, you can go ahead and select that content type. But for example, if you don't have, in that case, you can opt in for this option to create a new content type based on the information that has been extracted from that model. All right. So, and the next step is like we just have to upload the files. We'll have to save our extractors, and then we will have to apply this model to the library. So we'll just go ahead and click create to create this model. Again, this one is a fairly simple process, since this one is the pre-built kind of a model. So here it will ask us to add some kind of an files which are kind of an invoices to analyze. So I'll just click on add a file, add, and I think I do have few files available on my desktop. So let me just browse to the desktop and invoice processing. Okay, so this is one kind of an file that I have got. So I'll just open it up, and this is nothing but the invoice kind of an file. So I'll just click on add, so that this file will get added here. We'll just select that file, click on next, and again we don't have any kind of an hardcore limit here that we need to at least upload 5 files or 10 files, because this one is a pre-built already trained model by Microsoft. So we'll just go ahead only with one file, uh, click next, and here it will, this is the invoice that we had uploaded. Right now you can see that onto the top it is finding all those extractors. That means all of the information that can be extracted out of this invoice. And then once it is done, this one will give us just the confirmation to check that the value which is being extracted from this document, whether it is the same value that we are expecting or not. So this wizard will run through all those values which has been extracted. So onto the right hand side here, you will be able to see all of those extracted values. Okay, so this one is a pre-trained model, so it will go ahead and extract out the information. So once you click on that, it will show you the amount due, then the customer address and everything that has been extracted. So what we just need to do is, for example, if we are happy with this, we just need to select the value. So this is the amount due or balance due. Then we do have a customer address which has been extracted. And if we are happy with this selection, we can just click on yes. Otherwise, we can select on no. The customer address recipient, it has already detected the values. So all in all, it has detected all the correct kind of an thing. So I will just go ahead and simply say yes, because I know already that it extract out all the correct kind of an information. All right. All right. Okay. So let's go ahead, accept all those values. So from here, you can see that it is extracting out all the information which is needed for us, so that we'll be able to use this model on our SharePoint sites. So let's say, for example, if your finance is getting too many invoices, so rather than asking them to manually go ahead and process those invoices, this kind of a model will help them to extract out the major kind of an information from those invoices, and then it can appear into the SharePoint document library as a columns. So in that case, they don't have to go manually one by one through each of the invoices submitted, but this information will be extracted out for them. One thing that you will clearly notice here is it doesn't go into the details of the invoices or this details of each of the items which are being reported here. Okay, so but that is where the custom models will come into the picture, because this one will just focus on the pre-built kind of an mechanisms just to extract out the major metadata out of it. We can just click on save and exit, and that's it. Our first model should be ready now to go ahead and implement. So that's all. Here you can see all of the extractors that we have created. And again, if you want, you can just go ahead, remove the extractor if you don't need this, or if you want to rename it, you can do that as well. All right, so now that our first model is ready, the next thing that what we need to do is we just need to apply this model to the library. So for that, we can click on apply model, and here it will show you list of all of the uh, SharePoint sites that we have got. So these are few of the frequently used sites by me. So I can just go into that. I can select the document library where I want to go ahead and apply this kind of a model. Uh, Only thing that what can happen now is that once I do that, and when I will upload any of the file there, it might take around 30 minutes to go ahead and analyze that file and extract out the extractors or that information from that. So just to save that time, I just have done that exercise, but you just have to believe that it works. Okay, so okay, or maybe we can just do it. We can just click on invoices and we can click add. So what can happen in that case is it can just go ahead, apply the extractor onto that. So whenever I will upload any of the file here, it can go ahead and extract out the information. So let's say, for example, I can select this particular invoice which has been submitted, and I can just click on classify and extract, and that's it. It will just go ahead, analyze the files that I have uploaded here, and then it will go ahead and extract out the information. But here you can see that we'll have to wait for at least 30 minutes. Okay, so just to show that how this one works, but this one works totally correct. Probably we still have 30 minutes before we end the session, so we'll come back here a bit later, and then we'll try to see how it is going to extract out the information. All right, so similarly, for example, if I again go back to the other model that we have got, oh, sorry, all right. Okay, so this is the content center that we had created. For example, now that if you want to go ahead and create the receipts, it is the same thing that we will have receipts being submitted by our vendors. So those could be again handwritten or scanned or any kind of a document format. So in that case, again, we can just go ahead. This is how that receipt processing model works as well. So this is example of the receipt which we usually get from any of the marketing store, and then we'll be able to extract the information about the merchant, the address, phone number, and all those things. So what I will do is I will probably just have this one as a exercise for you or homework for you to export it, because this one is just the normal model, pre-built model, so it definitely works. So that at least we'll get some time to concentrate more onto the custom kind of a models that we have got. All right. So these are few of the pre-built model, but again, we do have customization option for 3 models that we can go ahead and create on ourselves. All right. So let us get introduced to those custom models.
The type of custom model you choose will depend on the type of files you use, the format and the structure of the files, and here where you want to apply the model. So when you create a custom model, you will select the training method associated with the model type. So the first one is this freedom document processing for this rent agreement. So you have to use the freedom document processing model to So you have to use this freeform document processing model to automatically extract the information from unstructured and freeform documents such as letters and contracts where the information can appear anywhere in the document. So the freeform document processing models use Microsoft Power Apps AI Builder to create and train the models within the syntax. And because your organization receives the letters and the documents in large quantities from various sources such as mail, fax, and email, the processing these documents and manually entering them into a database can take a considerable amount of time. And by using the AI to extract the text and other information from this document, so this model automates this entire process, and this model type is the best option for the English documents in a PDF or image files when you don't require atomic classification of the type of the document. So when you create a freeform document processing model, use the freeform selection method option.
All right, so we will get into the demo of this, but on the slide you can see example of two documents that we have got. So on the left hand side we have one document which is a rent agreement. Even onto the right hand side we have another form of rent agreement. Okay, so based on what country or area we live, the format of this agreement varies, but definitely there are few common things which we will be able to find in all of those rent agreements. So for example, there will be a landlord, there will be a premises for which this rent agreement is taking place. There will be monthly rent, start date, end date, as well as security deposit, as well as the tenant information. Okay, so that information will be there always. So onto the left hand side, here is one example wherein you are just seeing that in a simple tabular format. But onto the right hand side, probably you can see that we have some kind of an larger document, but the information is still here. Okay, so we're just going to see like how we'll be able to create the free form document processing model to analyze all those rent agreements. So for that, let me just quickly go into. Okay, all right. So now that I'm back into the content center that we had created, I will just click on create a model, and we are just going to use this free form selection model. Okay, so I'm just going to use this free form, and here you can see the option for service agreement that has been created already, like what kind of information that it can extract out. We can just click on next, and I will just call it as a rent agreement, which is of free form. Okay, and we will just click on create. Okay, so what this one will do is it is just going to create a new model. It might take some time if it is the new model that you are creating in the content center. So usually it takes around 10 to 15 seconds. So just finger cross that this one goes really fast, and then we'll be able to concentrate on that. But okay, let us wait until it goes ahead and try to extract out the information. But okay, meanwhile, probably I can again come back to the slide. So here you can see that the boxes that we have here in green represents the landlord information onto the both the side. So this is some kind of a metadata that probably will be able to extract out from any format that we have got in the rent agreement. All right, so with that, let us go ahead and okay, so this is the model that we have got now. And from here, we'll be able to extract out the information that we want. So the information that we need is probably landlord, tenant, property address, and everything. Obviously, we don't have time to define all of those, but probably I can just go ahead and create few fields for landlord and probably a start date. Okay, so here we can go ahead and just create a field, checkbox or table, those kind of things. So I will just go ahead and these are the two fields that we will just trying to get capture from the rent agreement. So we do have got landlord, we have a start date. I will just click on next so that we'll be able to go ahead add few of the documents here. So here we can create a collection. So I will just let it be collection one itself. And inside of that collection, we can go ahead and add the documents, which are the rent agreements. So here I do have a few of the documents here for rent agreements. Okay, so what I will do is at least we need five kind of documents here so that the custom model will get a chance to train itself. So I will upload all those five documents here. Okay, so again, for example, if you have got documents onto the SharePoint or maybe onto the Azure Azure Blob storage, even you will be able to use those as well. All right, so these are the five sample documents that we have got. We'll just click on next, and from here, we'll be able to um, tag these documents. Okay, so let the document load, and here we do have got fields for landlord and start date. So what we can do here is that we just need to find out the name of the landlord. So I guess uh, yeah, Quincy Watson is the landlord. So I can just go ahead, select him, and tag him as the landlord. So, and the next thing that we need to extract out from this document is the start date of this rent agreement, which we again have to find out where that is. And here you can see that the start date of 15th of July. So we can go ahead and start that as well. Once we are done with the tagging of the fields for one document, we can either click here to go to the next document or just move to the next document by clicking the arrow. So our selection will be saved, and again what we need to do is again we will have to go ahead, find out the landlord information. So okay, this is the tenant, and okay, and the oh sorry. So for example, if you want to go ahead and select this kind of a multiple label, you can just press a control key on your keyboard and then you will be able to select multiple information. Okay, so I can just make him as the landlord, which is here, and then this is the start date probably. Okay, so we can go ahead and do that. Probably I will not spend time going through each of the document for doing that because I already have created the custom custom model for that. So let me just close out all of the other windows that I have got, and then this is the rent agreements free form model that I had created onto my another content center that we have got. Okay, so this is the a model that I have got. I can just click on edit so that I will be able to show you the entire information about this model. So let it load. And then in this document, or at least in this model, you can see that we are capturing the information for landlord, tenant, the address of the place which we want to rent out, start date, end date, and monthly rent and everything. Once I click on next, this is the collection that we had created. So I can click on that, and then if you want, at any point you will be able to retrain your model by adding other documents. So let's say, for example, we have trained our model, but you came across any of the other format of the rental agreement. In that case, you can come back to your model, add the documents here, and retrain your model to find out the information from the new type. All right, so I will just click on next, and these are the information that I had captured for each of the rental agreement types. So let it load, and then this is the selection that you will be able to see. So we have a landlord information here, tenant information here, property address. As and when I will just mouse over on each of the field, you will be able to see that extracted information out of this. So probably I will not go through all of the documents, but this is how we'll be able to tag the documents. So here you can see that we have various forms of document, but the information that we want to look from here is consistent, which is landlord, maybe tenant, property address, start date, and everything. Right. So once we are happy with our model, what we can do is we can just click on train, so that from any of the document that we give to that particular model, it will be able to extract out the information for these fields that we need. So we can just click on train, and then this one will take almost 20 minutes to few hours to get your model trained based on the complexity of the model that you have designed, or complexity of the files that you have given to that model, and the amount of information that you want to extract out from that model. But again, we already have one model which which was there, which was trained before, so I can use that model. So before we go ahead, roll out this particular model to to the SharePoint site, here we do have an option for quick test. So I will just go ahead for quick test and upload any of the agreement. So I have one agreement under test document. I can just go ahead and use that. So that model will be applied onto this test document, and we'll be able to see that what kind of an information it extract out of that document. So it will take some time. It will analyze the document, and here you can see that it has identified this particular user or this particular person as the tenant with the confidence score of 93%. Similarly, this is the property address, and the confidence score is 86%. So that means our model is now ready, so will be able to go ahead and use this model. Okay, so now that again the time is we need to go ahead and use this model into production SharePoint kind of an environments. So for that, again, I will click on the model, and from here we'll be able to go ahead and add a library to which we want to attach this model to. So, and again, one library can have multiple models attached to it. So once you again click on add a library, the same window will come from where we can select where our rent agreements are, and then we can just apply that particular model. And this one is one of the example, because again, when I will upload any of the document here, it takes around 30 minutes to go ahead and extract the information. So when you will upload the document, automatically it will detect the type of the document and it will extract out the information. Or if you want to do this manually, when you will upload the document, select this option, classify and extract, which will trigger your model onto onto this document which is uploaded, and it will extract out all of the information. And from here you can see that the content type of this document is rental agreements, and these are all of the details that it has extracted out. So simply this one will save time for your finance or admin kind of a department, so that they can just concentrate onto the data rather than going into the model and sorry rather than going into the documents and extracting out the information on their own. All right, so this was pretty simple, that how we'll be able to go ahead and extract out the free from kind of a document processing for rent agreement. Now let us move to the other type of model that we can create from here.
So for the structured document processing invoices, use the structured document processing model to automatically identify the field and the table values. So it was best for the structure or semi-structured documents such as forms and invoices. So the structured document processing models used Microsoft Power Apps AI Builder document processing, so formerly known as a form processing, to create and train the models within the syntax. So this model type supports the widest range of languages and is trained to understand the layout of your form, for example, documents, and then learn to look for the data you need to extract from similar locations. Then the next one we have is, but before that, let's check the demo.
Yeah, so let's get into the demo of the structured document processing. Just considering the time that we have in our hand, I will not go ahead for creation of the uh, new from scratch kind of a structured model, but we'll just use the one which I already had created for this demo. So just by looking at this screen, you can see that we do have maybe a couple of vendors who send us the invoices. So we do have one invoices coming from Contoso, which is maybe a scan kind of an invoice, and then we have another kind of an invoice coming from Adatum, who send us the well formatted kind of an document. Uh, if you compare this invoices processing model with the previous one, which was the out of the box or pre-built model. So there it was just concentrating onto the major information of the invoice. For example, the sender, then the total invoice amount and everything. But now that, for example, if you want to go into the more details of each of the unit that has been charged under this invoice. You will be able to do that with invoices. All right. So for that, let me again go back to the content center where I already have created the invoice. All right. So again, process will be same, that you can just click on create a model, and from here you will have to select the appropriate model. For example, layout method. So I will just go ahead and use the one which I already have built for this. So this is the structured one which I had created. So what we need to do from here is that if I go into the edit model, same thing, that we need to at least give 5 files to this model so that it can go ahead and analyze the files, and we will be able to train them that, for example, if the invoice is coming from maybe an atom, this is the format that they follow, and from where we'll be able to get the information. So here we can see that we are concentrating on the fields like vendor name, invoice number, date, and everything. I will just go into the next wizard, and here we have created two collections, one for Contoso and one for Adatum, because those are our vendors who send us the invoices based on their format. I will click on next, and then we'll be able to tag out the document. So I will just select the first collection first, which is from Adatum, and from here you'll be able to see that we can go ahead and select the primitive kind of an content, which is date, invoice, and everything. But at the same time, we have got something called as a table. So from this table will be able to extract out the information from the table as well. So I can define like where my quantity is, where my item is, where is the unit price, and where is the line total. And with that, we'll be able to build out our model. Same thing, for example, if I go into the Contoso kind of a thing. So again, Contoso follow their own invoice format, and then I can train this model to look at the vendor name from the top, and then again we do have this table, which is the table that will be able to concentrate on what kind of an item, quantity, unit price, and the amount that we had charged upon, right? So now that, let us go into the next, and then we can just simply go ahead and train this particular model. So I'm not going to train this model because this one is already trained. But for example, if you want to retrain your model by taking a reference of the newer formats being submitted by your vendors, or if you're introducing a new vendor, they have their own kind of an format, you can go ahead and use that. One good thing about this structured invoice model is, or structured model, is that it gives you the accuracy score. Like for example, if you pass in any of the document to it, how it is going to, or how good that model is to go ahead and evaluate those files. And here you can see that 98%, which is very good evaluation that we have got. Probably I will not go into the quick test, but what I will do is, this is the model which has been applied to the invoices library. So I can go back to that, and here you can see that we do have information being here. But again, I will have to just click on classify and extract, so that it will take some time to go ahead, at least approximately 30 minutes to go ahead and extract of the information. But you can already see that we do have a content type directly associated to this SharePoint document library, so that all of the information, when it will extract out from those documents, will be able to use from here itself. All right, so with that, let's get into our last custom model, which is the unstructured, a quite complex one.
So use the unstructured document processing model to automatically classify the documents and extract the information from them. And it works best with unstructured documents such as the letters or the contracts. So for example, an unstructured document could be a contract renewal letter that can be written in a different ways. Also, so this model type supports the wider range of file types and only works on the file using the Latin alphabet, English characters.
All right, so only thing like when to use this unstructured kind of a document process model is that we don't have any predefined kind of a format. We don't know in what kind of a format the information will come, but at least we can rely on few of the phrases from that particular document. So let's say, for example, the one that you see on the screen is contract renewal. So here we at least know that under the contract renewal, we will always have a request for additional disclosure kind of a paragraph, and then probably we will have information information about the company name, or for example, if you are looking out for the renewal, always it will start with the service start date of, and then here will be our date. Okay, so if you think that we do have some kind of documents which doesn't follow any format, but at least there will be some phrases that we'll be able to rely on, we can go ahead and start creating the unstructured document processing for them. So for this, again, let me go back to my models, and I will just show you quickly the um, unstructured one, which is the contract notice. All right. Okay, so this is the model. Again, we'll have to go ahead, create the model. We'll have to upload few files. But while we upload the file, this works bit differently, that we also have to upload a negative kind of a file, which will not follow this because we don't have any format. So we will have to train the model that way. So once we click on add a files, we will be able to go ahead, add those files, and then we will have to upload at least 5 files which are following the format, and one file which is maybe out of the way, which doesn't follow any format or which doesn't have the necessary information that we are looking out for. When we go into the training the classifier, so classifier, like it is a thing that we just want to um, classify our document. So let's say, for example, if this particular document has got at least the date here, so that means this one is the positive kind of a document. But for example, if this is a document which doesn't contain any of the contract renewal kind of an information, we can simply go ahead and make this as a negative file. Okay, so this one will just help us to create categorize our file, whether it is following under the contract notice or not, and then we can just go into the train just to see that everything is matches there. Okay, so how we can do that is we'll have to add some kind of an explanation there. So explanation will help us to define whether that file follow that kind of a format. Once you go into the new, we do have option to do it as a phrase list or a regular expression, or even we can do it as the predefined templates. For example, if it contains a number, a credit card number, currency, date, and so on. So here we have only one thing, like for example, if this file contains a text called as request for additional disclosure, in that case, this is the file that we are looking out for, and this is the renewal document for us. Okay, so we can go ahead and mark this file as the positive file. For example, if it doesn't contain that text, then this is the negative file for us. Another thing, or next thing that we want to do from here is that now that we want to extract out the information from those matching files. So in this case, we can go ahead and create the extractor. So we can define like what kind of an extractor that we want to extract out from that file. For example, the start date, a plan type, member count, and then we can define the type of that text. So it could be a text, multi-line, date time, and so on. So here we just have created 3 extracted. I can just go into one, which is service start date. So here we will have to go ahead, create a new extractor, and then we can just select the date, and then we can just define that this date always comes after this text called as terms of service start date of, so that it can go ahead and just extract out that information. So all those things are defined here as the explanation. So here we can see that we are looking out for a date. And second thing is that we are looking out for this anywhere in this document. So if it is matching out those kind of a thing, it can go ahead and extract out this information. All right. So again, I have it applied onto the SharePoint document library as well. But just considering the time, you just have to trust me that it works. But again, just to repeat, for example, if you have any documents which just have certain kind of an text but doesn't follow any format, in that case you can go ahead and use this unstructured document processing model. All right, so let us also look into this another feature called as content assembly in Microsoft Syntex. So you can use this content assembly to automatically generate the standard or any kind of a repetitive business documents. Okay, so let's say for example, you have a contract to create for multiple vendors. This syntax will help you with this content assembly. So first thing is that you just need to upload a document to create the modern template. Then you just need to associate the fields with different data sources, and you can just publish that modern template, and you can create the document out of those modern template. So let us quickly see a demo of this one as well. So now that I'm just going back to the any of these SharePoint site, probably not the not the content center. So I'm just onto any of the home side of my SharePoint, and from here I will be able to create the modern templates. So for that, let me just go into the site contents and then to the documents. All right. Okay. All right. So this is the document library that we have got. Once I click on new, here we have got one option called as create modern template. Okay. So I can just click on create modern template. So this is the template that probably we want to repeat for our vendors or anything else. So here we do have few recommended docs. Okay, I don't think we do have. All right, so what I can do is I can just again click on create modern template, and then we can just upload any of the word file where we think that we do have a content and which will be able to use for our purpose. So I'll just browse this, and maybe let's take the one. um, okay, I don't have any. Okay, so let's say for a time being, I will just take this one itself. Okay, so this is the kind of a contract that we want to create, or some kind of a template that we want to create and do it for more of our customers. Okay, so in this case, what we can do is once the file loads, I just have to specify where that content will repeat, and then we'll be able to create the fields out of it. Okay, so I can just click new field. I can um, just name it as maybe a customer name. Oops, sorry. And then in the selector, I just have to go ahead and select this part. Okay, so now that I'm just selecting this Adatum Corporation as the name, and I can just click on confirm, and that's it. So I will just keep it very simple. And the text that I want to extract out is just this single line of text. I can just click on save, and I will just click on publish. So our uh, template will be published with this particular name. I will just click on publish so that we have this modern template ready, which we'll be able to use for any of the customer. Okay. So now what we can do is I can just click on new, and then we do have that new modern document template available here. I can just click on that, and this is the template that probably I want to go ahead and use for another customer called as Contoso, for which I want to go ahead and multiply generate various documents for multiple customers. So I can just pay attention here that as and when I will go ahead and type Contoso here, Contoso, and click on create document, it will just go ahead and yes, okay, I will just create it here itself. So you can see that in the background, it has changed the name to Contoso. And then this is the same kind of a document that we'll be able to use for multiple customers. So I can just change the names and we'll be able to use it. Similarly, for example, if you are using the Power Automate, we do have some kind of an action there as well, which will help us to generate that document as well. All right. Quickly coming to this metadata search. So metadata search will help you to get the information out of your documents. So we do have some kind of an metadata search here. Probably I can show it to you directly. So whenever I will come to the search this document library, you will see some kind of an icon here onto the right side. Once you click that, this is the new kind of a search experience that you will get, from where you will be able to search based on the keyword, file name, people who created that file, modified date, type of the file, for example, if it is a PowerPoint, Word, or anything, or a content type. So we created multiple content types based out of our models that we had created. If you just want to concentrate on any one of that, you will be able to do that. So this is again another good feature of Syntax. Okay, so one last thing before we end the session is about the licensing part. Okay, so for the licensing part, to use the Microsoft Syntax, you must have a license for each Syntex user. So Syntex is nothing but the add-on license, and it requires users to have license for Microsoft 365. There are a few of the tasks which will require a license. For example, if you want to create any kind of a model, if you want to apply the model, obviously you will need a license for that. And then there is a cost of training as well as running these models. So these are the costs associated with training as well as running all those models. Okay, so quickly moving ahead, for example, if you want to go ahead, adopt this syntax as well as do some kind of an assessment with whether your organization is ready for that, we do have those options as well. So while you are adopting, just identify those pilot business scenarios wherein you will be able to automate the business processes, improve your search accuracy, as well as you'll be able to manage the compliance risk. So start by asking yourself the questions like does implementing this syntax or any of the model in syntax, is it going to solve a real problem for you? And again, will it be widely used, or will it have a broad impact? Is it obtainable, as well as how you'll be able to measure the success out of it? And then there is a syntax contract kind of a managed template available. So if you want, you can use this template to create a SharePoint site for yourself. The last part here is that there is a Microsoft 365 assessment tool available from PNP, which gathers data from your SharePoint libraries and it generates the Power BI report with the recommendation, so that it will analyze like which are the best places wherein you will be able to go ahead, create some kind of a models using syntax, and then how you will be able to use that. So you'll be able to download this tool from this PNP github.io. It is really cool kind of an tool which you will be able to use for assessing your environment for Microsoft Syntax. All right, so I think we are right on time, and these are few of the references that we had used for preparing for this session. So do go through that. And again, the last one is more interesting, that there are few syntax samples available from Leon Armstrong, who is a MVP. So he has created those nice templates, even which I have used during this demo. So do go ahead and use that for training your models as well. All right, so with that, thank you very much, and we appreciate your feedback. Do leave your feedback by going to this link or maybe scanning this code. And then there are raffles available to you. So one winner randomly from a draw will get to win this. So all the best, all of you, for that. And then with that, thank you very much for having us. And back to you, Jason.